Okay, so Pastor Adrian asked me to come and share my story and journey of how I got to the point of baptism last year. And in order to do that, we kind of have to go back quite a ways. We have to go back pretty much all the way to when I found out I was pregnant with Chloe. And I think everybody watching here knows Chloe. I was very young, 17 years old. Didn't know what I was going to do. Didn't really want to become a mom that early. And, it's what happened. So after she was born, I didn't feel that amazing rush of women talk about, I've held my baby for the first time and I didn't know I could love anything that much. And it's not that I didn't love her, it was I didn't bond with her in that way, and I felt that there was something wrong with me because of that. And that led me down a pretty dark spiral of really bad depression and anxiety and a lot of really negative emotions that I did not choose to get treatment for in the proper way. I started, partying and staying out all night and just trying to drown out all those negative feelings with other things. And sorry, this is a little hard for me to talk about because not everybody here knows this about me, but I spent a lot of years drinking very heavily, and then that turned into dabbling in some hard drugs, and then that turned into a 3.5 or so year period of time where I was homeless and smoking meth every day. And, I lived in the park for a while, and I lived in my car, and it was a really dark time in my life. And I didn't really know how to fix it, or even if I wanted to fix it. And then there was one night that I needed a ride somewhere, and I didn't have a car at the time, and I called my Grandma Dee. And she says, well, if you can get to my church, I will drive you where you need to go, but we're here at choir practice right now. And so I said, okay, fine, I'll walk there. So I walked 4 miles to get here, and sat in this first pew over here, and they're all singing along, and there's a break in the songs, and she turns to me and she goes, if you're going to be here, you might as well sing with us. I know you can sing. And so I said, sure, why not? It's not going to hurt to sing one night, So I get up there and I start singing, and I'm having a lot of fun, thinking, it's just, one night I'm going to sing with the church or with the choir and everything. And then after we were all done and we gathered and we prayed, she turned to me and she goes, do you want to join the choir? And I was like, yeah, why not? And I still to this day have no idea why I said yes. It was completely out of character for me. I had never thought I could sing in front of people, and I certainly wasn't going to go to church. And she goes, if you join the choir, you have to come to church. And I said, okay, fine. And she about fell out of her chair, she said. She was so shocked by my response. And like I said, I don't honestly know why I said yes at all. It was not even close to something that I would have thought I would ever do. And I started coming to choir practice, and I started coming to church, but only on the days that choir sang. I didn't come to church every day for a while. And then during the summer, I didn't come at all because choir didn't sing. And then slowly but surely, I started coming every week, and I started coming more during the summer. And then we got our amazing new pastor, Adrian, in, and I was talking to her last night, and I realized I don't think there's ever been a request that she has asked of me that I have said no to. She has this way of just making me go along with things and pushing me out of my comfort zone in good ways. She started asking me for just little things here and there. Oh, do you want to usher? Oh, do you want to read this? Or do you want to maybe greet people? And then pretty soon I was doing coffee hour, I was greeting, I was doing everything. Singing duets with Peppy. She has a way of pushing me out of my comfort zone too. I never thought I would have sang a solo till she was the choir director. And now this whole situation that we're in now has pushed me to become an assisting minister, which I never thought I would do. And now tonight I'm giving the message. So it's it was a long journey. Chloe's 11 now. It took me the first probably 5.5 years of her life, maybe 6 years of her life, to really figure out that I needed to change. And it wasn't a big, come to Jesus moment, like Pastor says, or what did I say last night? Jesus didn't slap me in the face and tell me to go to church. But it was tiny changes over a long period of time, just little bits here and there, just one person's kindness of inviting me to come do something with them, or one person who, excuse me for naming you by name, but Sharon Wolf, one person who every single time I'd been gone for a few weeks in a row and I come back, she was so excited to see me, giving me huge hugs, and was like, it made me feel like I could keep coming back here. And so, sorry, it was, I attribute this church and the community here to saving my life. I'm not sure, sorry, I'm going to get emotional, but I'm not sure that I would be alive today if it wasn't for the fact that I found this community here, and you guys were so welcoming of me, and no one seemed to care what my history was or where I'd been. I'm sorry. Sorry. You guys are just so amazing. And, it was hard for me to share this about me because I know that not everybody in the congregation knew that I used to be a drug addict. And, but you guys have made me feel comfortable enough to come up here and be open about my journey. And it was kind of funny because I never, even after I decided I was going to come to church regularly and I was going to join the choir and do all these things, I always said, well, I'll never get baptized. I'll never get baptized. That's a huge commitment. I'm never going to do it. But Pastor took me through this faith journey. Well, Pastor and Kathy, and my amazing partner in faith, Lisa, and we really broke it down. And even the day before Easter Vigil last year, I was still not sure I was going to go through with it. I was, I was so afraid of that commitment, but, everybody here made me realize that I wasn't committing to anything I wasn't already doing. I was committing to continue in the same path of service and faith that I was already on, so it made sense to get baptized, and, I'm sorry. Where was I going with this? My story is a very long story of very small changes that were enabled by amazing people in my life. So I guess if you're ever considering making a big change in your life, or you're considering getting baptized or anything, just look back on how different you are now than you were 5 years ago, and realize that most of those changes were probably not big, sudden, you didn't just wake up one morning and decide I'm different now. Those changes were small things that you probably at the time thought were extremely insignificant and wouldn't even matter in the future. But I look back on myself 5 years ago. I think this September will be 6 years since I joined, since I started coming here. And so 5 years ago, and I am unrecognizable now. I am a different human being than I was, and it's because I welcomed the community of this church and the community of God into my heart and into my life, and I let God guide me in the changes that she, whoever wanted to make for my life. And I guess that's just what I wanted to say. Sorry.
Thank you, Candace. Candace, I so wanted to come up and hug you, but I realized, and so did Peppy. Peppy, who has been behind the screen, has also, I think, kind of been a mentor, somebody that's really helped, through whom God has worked. And Candace, one thing I've heard in your story is what God has done. That this baptism It's not something that we do. Yes, we make a commitment. As my friend Jessie once said, I had to decide whether I was going to live in sin or if I were going to give my life to Christ. But it's really about what God did for you, right? And it's a long journey, right? And this baptismal journey that you're on, Candace, it never ends. It goes your whole life long because you are sealed by the Holy Spirit and marked by the cross of Christ forever. So amen, and thank you for sharing.